So we were talking about the introduction of data communications and networking. Let us talk about the internet. Internet, it is composed of first of all, net means you have number of networks. Inter means interconnected. So you can assume it to be a wide, worldwide, global wise network. But we'll see the formal meaning and definition. The internet has actually revolutionized many aspects of our daily life, even in our mobiles, in our watches, in our gadgets. Every gadget you will find that now we have internet. Without internet, and life is now standstill. And whether it is banking, airline reservation, you know booking of any other, say, movie tickets, or paying your life insurance, anything, everything is on internet now. The programs, computer softwares which were made, now they are on web. So it has affected the way we do business as well as the way we spend our leisure time. The internet is a communication system that has brought a wealth of information to our fingertips. We cannot forget the contribution of Google. That previously, maybe 10 or 15 years back, we need to rely on the books. Now you open internet and you can find ebooks, you can find the various overviews and discussions and advantages, disadvantages, various things are available to us. I must agree that there are some certain material which is not up to the mark, but still the information is organized now and now at our fingertips. So we'll see the brief history of internet and the internet today, that is ISPs, internet service providers, etc. So a network is a group of connected communicating devices such as computers and printers. We have already seen that what do we mean by network now. An internet is two or more network that can communicate with each other. So if you have network 1, network 2, we say that they are internet because these are the network which are interconnected network. So the most notable internet, you just see this I is called the capital. Just understand that there is a difference between small internet and capital internet. The most notable internet, we need to note that this is small I. It's called the internet. So what we are talking about is capital internet. This one, a collaboration of more than hundreds of thousands. You cannot number now. There are so many of interconnected networks, though they can be easily computed because each and every ISPs, or you can say system or any gadget, they have their IPs, they have their identification of the internet. But this capital internet, capital I internet, is what we are interested in right now. So in the mid 1960s, mainframe computers in research organization were just standalone devices. They are not connected to any other device, computing device. Then came the ARPA, Advanced Research Projects Agency, in Department of Defense, USA. In 1967, at an Association of Computing Machinery (ACM) meeting, ARPA presented its idea for ARPANET, which is a small network of connected computers, very small. The idea was that each host computer, these may be from different manufacturers, would be attached to a specialized computer. They called them as Interface Message Processor (IMP). This IMP in turn would be connected to one another means. And each IMP, Interface Message Processor, had to be able to communicate with each other or other IMPs as well as with its own attached host. So by 1969, ARPANET was a reality. 4 nodes at Californian University at Los Angeles, UCLA, at Santa Barbara, also Stanford Research Institute (SRI), and University of Utah were connected via the IMPs to form a network. This was in 1969. Software called the NCP, that is the Network Control Protocol, it provided the communication between these hosts. In 1972, Vint and Bob outlined the protocols, that is TCP, to achieve end-to-end delivery of packets. Shortly after, authorities split this TCP into 2 parts, that is TCP and IP, that is Transmission Control Protocol and Internetworking Protocol. This is Windsurf is Mr. Kahn and Bush. But Internet today, you have internet service providers, ISPs. You have national ISPs. They use network access points. You have regional internet service providers. They connect to one another or one or more national ISPs. And there is this is the third level of hierarchy. Then we have local ISPs also. Say for in Taiwan, they have national ISPs and local ISPs only in Taiwan. So this is a hierarchical organization of the internet. This is the structure of national ISPs, and this is the interconnection of national ISPs. The structure of national ISPs is like this: that this is the national ISP, that is Internet Service Provider, which is providing you the network or the internet. This is the regional ISPs connected by certain gadgets, and then you have local ISPs, wherein the interconnection of national ISPs is like this. You have national ISPs which are connected by NAP, that is Network Access Protocol. So the protocols and standards are like this. We will define two widely used terms which are protocols and standards. We will first see the protocol, which is actually synonymous to the rule. So rule and protocols, they are one and the same thing in this term. And when we discuss standards, which are agreed upon rules, standards are agreed upon rules, and protocols are rules. So there is a difference. You'll see when we discuss this. So see the protocol, standards organization, and internet standards. In protocols, and what is actually protocol first of all? An entity is anything capable of sending or receiving information first of all. Then a protocol defines what is communicated, how it will be communicated, and when it is communicated. So the protocol is there to decide and define what, how, and when this communication is to be done. The syntax also, it refers to the structure of the format of the data. What will be the structure? How many bytes? What headers? What other contents? Meaning the order in which they are presented. So orders also, one by one. Then semantics. Each section, this section which I drawn, refers to the semantics, that is the meaning of each section of bits. Then the timing. Timing is when the data should be sent and how fast they can be sent. This is the timing, which is defined by or addressed by the protocols. Then standards. What are standards? Say we have certain de facto standards, means which are by fact or by convention or by trivial nature. They are de jure standards, which is by law or by regulation. And there are standards organization like ISO. This is International Organization for Standardization. We have ITU-T for International Telecommunication Union, which is telecommunication standards for telecommunication standards sector. We have CCIETT, that is Consultative Committee for International Telegraphy and Telephony. NC, American National Standards Institute, NC. IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. EIA, Electronic Industries Association. There are government agencies also like Federal Communication Commissions. Various government agencies are there in each country. Then we have Internet standards. What is the Internet draft, and RFC, that is request for comment. The appendix also, like analog and digital, what is the difference? So this is the appendix. Let us see this. Analog phone lines, analog signals, digital security, digital PBX, analog to digital adapters, and so on. So what does it all mean? What does this mean to us? In the telecommunication world or telecom world, understanding analog versus digital isn't as simple as comparing one technology to another, because these two are so much related and so much different. It depends on what product, as in some cases which product feature you happen to be talking about, what exactly you are talking about, the feature that decides. So let us see first, because we are going to discuss analog and digital in detail, but for the sake of completeness, as a technology, analog is the process of taking an audio or video signal, in most cases human voice, and translating it to the electronic pulses. If you speak in the microphone, then your sound or your voice will be converted to signals. So these are analog signals. Digital, on the other hand, is breaking the signal into the binary format, that is zeros and ones, where the audio and this video signal is represented by the series of ones and zeros. This is simple enough when it's the device. Say you have analog or digital phone, fax, modem, or likewise. That does all the converting for you. You don't have to worry about it. So is one technology better than the other? Someone says digital is better. Someone says no, I'm very good with the analog. So analog technology has been around for decades. It's not that complicated a concept now, and it's fairly inexpensive. That's why we can buy, say, a dollar 10 telephone, or watch a few TV stations with the use of, say, well placed antenna. But the trouble is the analog signals have size limitations and how much data they can carry. So with our this much amount of phones and inexpensive TVs, we can go get only few TV stations, so that much. While in digital world, which is newer to the analog, the digital technology breaks your voice or television, say voice signal into binary codes, series of ones and zeros, and it transferred it to the other end, where another device, say phone, modem, or TV, takes all the numbers, they reassemble, get out the or extract the meaningful information, and them into the original signal. Find make them original. So the beauty of the signal is that it knows what it should be when it reaches the end of the transmission. That way, one can correct any errors. You have various CRC and parity, all these are there. So that will be occurred in the data transfer. So, what does all that mean to you? Yes, of course, the clarity. Digital voice, analog voice. You will prefer the digital voice. So, in most cases, you get distortion free conversation and clear TV pictures. And the phone line, these are analog lines. They are also referred to as POTS or plain old telephone service. They support standard phones, fax machines, and modems. These are the lines typically found in your home or small office. But digital lines are found in large corporate phone systems. So how do you tell if the phone line is analog or digital? How you're going to, because we cannot see them. These signals you cannot see. So look at the back of the telephone connected to it. Look at the phone's dial pad. All there, these are multiple function keys. So do you need to dial 9 for an outside line? These are indicators that the phone and the line are digital. Otherwise, it is analog.